So ransomware is a pandemic. 52% of enterprises were hit last year. 52%. 600 million attacks last year. That's not going down. It's a 62% CAGR on that issue. The bad guys, what they're doing is attacking the data, right? And the reason they're attacking the data is because it's the corporate's most strategic asset, right? They're smart guys. These ransomware gangs are very enterprise. They're enterprise companies. They have teams of people trying to hack into companies. And all they have to do is be right once to get into a company, corrupt the data, and now you're looking at an extinction level of that. It's a big issue. I was speaking to a top 20 bank the other day. They're looking at, it's a board level issue, right? How do we recover if we get hit from a ransomware attack? How's that going to happen? So they stripped down all their applications down to the bare minimum, just so they could trade, right? They could communicate. Strip that down. Their downtime is 5 days, best case from bare minimum. 5 days. No revenue for 5 days. And they're borrowing from their competitors to keep the business going. That's how bad this is, because it's very lucrative for the bad guys. So it's really not if, but when. And for us, when we run into customers, 33% of the time we find something. Ransomware and malware in an environment. These are active customers. 100% of the time we find configuration problems, misconfigurations, and/or corruption of the data. Unbelievable. So these misconfigurations in the cloud, because the cloud is a different operating environment, the misconfigurations, they happen. So my volumes aren't encrypted. My snapshots aren't encrypted. So the bad guys can poke in and start to figure out what's going on and exploit that data. Exfil it. One of the big things here, because of this, the pain of this issue, is Amazon came to us about 6 months ago and said, we need that product to integrate with snapshots and AWS backup. So that's been a big source of amazing partnership for us, actually. So they've given us, 52 opportunities so far within a bunch of their enterprise customers right now. So that's a big deal. So that partnership really helps us, and it really solidifies the value proposition for the customers. So 5 myths of ransomware protection. So perimeter security eliminates my risk of ransomware. False. The perimeter security is important. You need to have it. 52% of companies are getting hit, so they're breaking through. And they just have to be right once. Anomaly detection eliminates the risk of my ransomware. None. Endpoint agents don't always work. Bad guys can circumvent the endpoint agents, and that's what they do. They just have to be right once. Immutability and air gap eliminates my risk of ransomware. No. So immutability, many data protection companies use immutability what it means is when I make a copy of the data, that data cannot be deleted now because it's immutable. But if the data is corrupted, now I've just made a copy of corrupted data, I've replicated that data, and now I've made that immutable. That doesn't help the business recover. On-prem legacy solutions eliminate my risk of ransomware. That's not the case. They don't have the tech to do deep file inspection in the cloud. The cloud is a very unique opportunity for us because we have very differentiated tech that can drill deep into the application, into the data, to figure out if that data is corrupted. The cloud is secure and eliminates my risk of ransomware. The cloud is a shared responsibility model. So the top part of the shared responsibility model is the customer requirement. That's all around the app. So the customer is required to secure their applications. The cloud providers harden the infrastructure. They give you that kind of level of security. So this doesn't come as a free ride. So you've got to protect your environment. And that's what the perimeter tools try to do. There's a myriad of security companies trying to do this. But nobody's hitting the data. Nobody's protecting the data. And that's what we spend our time on. True ransomware protection. So here's our workflow. I'll walk you through it. So the first thing we do is we protect the data. So it's continuous protection of the data. So we deploy in a cloud, we assess the assets, the file-based assets. They're either compute modules, EFS kind of storage, file storage, and soon to be object storage. So we'll go determine that for you. So we'll go and look at that storage for you, continually protect it. Second is we do the detection. This is where a lot of our unique IP sits. So our team literally reverse engineered over the last 3 years, 1,900 known ransomware. We accrete maybe 5 to 7 new ones a week, right? They keep coming out. And some of these are novel. They haven't hit the street yet. So we see those. So we reverse engineered them, built an ML model on that. Soon to be generative. We're working on a generative model on that as well. That can go into the data and detect corrupted data. And that's hard to do. It's not a virus scanner. That doesn't work. You can run CrowdStrike and all those things. They're running on the host. You should do that. But they can't get into the data. The reason they can't get into the data is because it'll be a huge performance hit on the agent. So you have to do it offline and have a copy of the data that you can take your time and do an assessment. And you have to be able to do it over time as well. So there's a lot of analytics that go into number 2 to actually detect corrupted data in ransomware. 3 is response. So respond is saying we have an incident response team. So because we're in the cloud, we can track the events for the customer and determine a response for that. So we can tell if it's a false positive, for example. Right? Or we can say, yes, this is file 2023, we notify you, and these are the files that should be remediated. So it's very prescriptive. We precisely identify the ransomware because we reverse engineered them all. Misconfigured vulnerabilities, that's a big issue. It just takes one misconfiguration. Bad guy pops in, boom. Right? There's a myriad of tools, like I said, to try to protect against that, but it just takes one. CI/CD automation, that's basically gives the team the tools to automate this in the pipelines. Right? So we can code it up. You start implementing to scan files, scan EBS volumes, etc. You can do that automatically. The 4th area is recovery. So this is the critical post-attack recovery. So this gives you point-in-time restoration on a known clean point in time. So I'm infected, most currently, I can go right back in time and pick up the last known clean copy. So I know I can get back to that. And I can give my forensics team, the corrupted one, they can restore it to a sandbox and go do their business. Make sense? So it's a full life cycle. Protect, detect, respond, recover. Nobody else has this in the cloud. And this is one of the number 1 problems in the cloud right now is mitigation from ransomware resilience.